Welcome to the Daisy Show. My name is Andrew. This is my wife, Beck.
Hello.
Let's get into it.
Fabulous.
What are we talking about today?
Today we're going to be talking about the identity crisis that prevents change.
The identity crisis that
Prevents habit change and therefore prevents people from changing.
Okay.
And like as in change, I'm talking about positive change. Do you like my shirt today?
It's amazing. I'm
fave.
jealous. I want to get
I
one.
love it.
I want to get one just like it.
Got it from Colorbox.
Shout out to Colorbox.
It's only in Indonesia. Sorry for everyone else. Anyway, so yeah, I hadn't really thought about this until now. And it does make a lot of sense to me that if you identify as a non-exerciser or an inactive person, then it is hard to become someone who is an active person who trains every day. So for me, I identify as an active person. So I always have in the back of my mind, okay, what sort of training do I want to do today? And even if you skip a day or two, you're not derailed into thinking, well, I'm a fat loser person, I'm not active, the end. Mm-hmm. End of story, I'm not going back to the gym. So it's not, but people always ask, how do I stay motivated to train? How do I stay motivated to be active? How do I stay motivated to go to sleep earlier? How do I stay motivated to do all these things? And the real question they should be asking is, how do I become the person who does all these things? How do I become the person who goes to the gym daily? How do I become that person? And that's what you want to focus on in order to be a different person.
You're going deep today.
Yep. So let me know what you think.
Yeah, well, you're right. We are, whatever we say we are. And now, obviously, in 2025, or in the 2020s, we've taken that to all sorts of ludicrous extremes. But, we're the story that we tell ourselves. And it's everything. It's the kid who struggles with maths in grade 2 or something.
Bad at maths.
And then just repeats, I'm bad at maths, I'll never get this, I can't do this. Once you repeat to yourself, I can't, like a million times, well, then you can't. Whether you, what's the saying? Whether you think you can or you can't,
you're right.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily true in the positive. I can think I'm going to win the MotoGP World Championship and the Mr. Olympia title all I want, but I'm not going to. But if I had the potential to do anything like that and then convince myself that I can't, well, then I'm definitely going to be right on the downside. So it's a psychological phenomenon that exists across all aspects of human endeavor.
All aspects of life.
And it manifests for us trying to get clients to basically become a different person, which is what you're saying. Yeah,
and it can be a real struggle for some clients, I think. Other people, it's not. And then I have to think about myself, okay, so have I ever really had an identity crisis in my lifetime? And yeah, the only time I think I've ever had an identity crisis was after giving birth. And that was probably a really, really hard time in my life because, you do have to become another person. You have to now become a mother, and what are all the roles that come with that? Because you're no longer the person that you were before you had a baby, and you can never go back to being that person, fancy-free life where you just don't give a fuck about this other human being. I mean, if you're doing that, then that's worrying. It's a whole other issue. But I think that's the only time I would say I've had like an identity crisis. And then the rest of my life, I've always seen myself as like a healthy and active person who wants to be active. And that's because since forever, I guess, I went to do gymnastics when I was like 5 years old. And I would always be excited about going to gymnastics training. And then, at school, you're sort of like, you have to do sport and PE and all that. And then on the weekends, my family would be like, we're going for a bike ride and doing all that. So it's just normal to be active. And then if you're always like doing gymnastics or dance or some form of physical activity that makes you feel secure in yourself, and you're working towards something like skills and goals, you never have an identity crisis. And I think that also because gymnastics for me was a very individual sport, you're not relying on everyone else in a team as well. It really is like you're focusing on yourself. This is all about you. And yeah, once I finished school and finished gymnastics, then I was like, time to join the gym and do physical activity in that way.
The same identity is channeled in a new direction.
Yeah, and then bodybuilding, yeah. Bikini modeling, do that. And that is also very similar because I do think to be a gymnast, you require a level of aesthetics. Like you can't walk on the beam as like an obese person.
Well, you won't be able to physically do stuff.
Correct.
Yeah, it's interesting that you use the term identity crisis, and that you've had one after having Laura. As you're talking there, I was thinking, have I ever done that? And the answer is yes. There's one. So my dad sat me in the cockpit of a Mirage fighter jet when I was 4 on RAF Base Darwin. And from that moment, I'm like, I'm going to be a pilot. And so that was my identity throughout my entire childhood. You know, my name's Andrew, I'm going to be a pilot. That's it. It was like so fused with who I am throughout all of my formative years. So then when I got to the point where I'm deciding to turn my back on that and go in a different direction, yeah. Now that you use the term identity crisis, I'm like, yeah, of course. It was tremendously difficult to do something different because it wasn't just doing something different, it was being a different person.
Becoming
and it was a
different.
core part of my identity, particularly through formative years, that I'm going to be a pilot, and I was a pilot. And then, well, if I'm not doing that, what the hell? And it's very, very difficult. And so this would definitely apply to the kid who had the mum who gave them the notes so they get out of PE, and just the opposite of how you just described your childhood, that they never did sport, they never did PE, they never exercised, everyone in their family is fat, they're fat, and it's just part of who they are, and it's how they identify as a bigger person. And then we've got an entire world of losers who will reinforce your loserness and excuse it and dress it up and give it all these pseudonyms for, you know, big boned people in bigger bodies, you know, blah, 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 blah. They talk about like the fat community as though there's such a thing just because you have a physical, you know, characteristic, that you're not in a community with somebody else who has the same physical characteristic. That's absurd. And so there's the normalcy bias is incredibly strong and reinforces that identity, which then makes it so difficult. And this is something that, you know, I built into the Blitz years ago, is that I understood, having seen sort of the phenomenon so many times with clients, it's not enough to just talk about the things, doing the things. So hit your macros and train. Hit your macros and train is the answer to every problem in life, pretty much. But you have to be the person who is capable and willing to show up and consistently do the things. And until you are the person, what the things are really don't matter. And that seems to be the big tipping point. The big dividing line is that those people who actually do show up and do stuff and those who don't. And I think what you're identifying is that a lot of it is to do with identity. Like they just literally don't see themselves as the person who does that. And they really do otherize people who are in shape. We spoke about this last week or the week before on the podcast, where I'll show these champions and go, hey, look, this is what these methods do. You can look this amazing by hitting your macros and training. And they dismiss it because they dehumanize a champion and go, well, that's a different kind of person. Like we're a different species. Yeah, can't relate at all because they've got a strong identity of not being the same as somebody who does show up, follow through, do the things, and then gets in shape.
Having this identity shift would also lead to increased resilience when it comes to dealing with obstacles, because once again, if you see yourself as the type of person who eats healthy food or is active regularly and you have like a day where you eat McDonald's, you don't change your idea about the food you want to continue to eat for the rest of your life just because you ate McDonald's for one day. Like we've previously spoken about resilience. So it really would increase resilience if you have done the work to change your identity or shift your identity to being this other person. And I would say, from what I've learnt, if you want to become someone different, and probably this only really applies to women, I don't think men are going to want to do this, but what you want to do is get your notepad and write down, say if you want to become a different person, you need to write down all the things that person does in a day, the person that you want to become. So say if you're like, I want to be physically active and eat healthy and do a better job of making sure my kids also are healthy and want to become healthy and active. Then you write down, okay, I wake up at 6 a.m. Maybe at the moment you wake up at like 8 a.m. because you struggle to wake up. So you write down, okay, I wake up at 6 a.m. Then what do? I prepare my breakfast for me and my child. And that could be like healthy, high protein food. Yeah, okay, so you're halfway there. Then it's like after I drop off my kid at whatever school, you go to the gym, if you can fit that in, or maybe you do it after work. So you go to work, then you can write, on my lunch break, I go for a 30-minute walk around the park or the city, wherever you're working. And then you write down, like what you do later. I go to the gym every day at this time. So you're writing down basically this new plan of what it takes to become this person that you want to become. Mm-hmm. Because if you fail to plan, you're going to plan to fail, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to actually understand what you need to be doing daily to become this new human.
Yeah, I would suggest that you're skipping an important step, and it's a step where people don't want to become a new person. What they want is like the one weird trick.
Right.
I want to be exactly who I am because change is horrible. I never want to change, and I want a radically different body. I don't want to change my lifestyle, and I want radically different body composition outcomes. So I don't think anybody says, I want to become a new person. Okay, I shouldn't say anybody. I don't think most people are thinking that way, which is why we're doing this podcast, because you do need to become a different person. You need to abandon who you were and embrace becoming somebody else. And then exactly what you're saying is going to be very useful. And I think what I try and do is kind of the opposite. Like just you need to be bullied and bully yourself into doing the things, and then retrospectively go, I did the things, therefore I am the person who does the things. Yep. So kind of you change the identity afterwards, you know?
Yeah, but it is what you're saying is the habit change thing daily. If you're forcing yourself to do all these new habits and you keep doing them over and over again over time, you can become a new person essentially. You can become a new person, and you can also resist that change. And that's what you've got when you've got the yo-yo dieters. Yeah. Where they can physically show up and they force themselves to do the things, and then their identity doesn't change. They've still got the fatitude, right? And then once the 8-week challenge is over, or once the diet phase is over, or once they've crammed for the exam, the holiday diet, they then go straight back to the person that they identify as, the person who they really are. So they're like a person who is in this sort of strange environment doing strange things for a period of time, and then they naturally gravitate back to who they really are. And it is kind of amazing that even people who have done the things can then still not identify themselves as the person who is willing and capable of doing the things. They've done it, they've gotten the results, it was worth it, and they still don't change
their identity. I mean, the recidivism rate for obesity is 95%. Like, that's just absolutely astonishing. That we're not talking about people who are fat and lazy and stay fat and lazy. We're talking about people who are fat and lazy, then do the work to fix it. So we've proven that they're not lazy, proven that they can do it, and then they go backwards. And it's because their identity didn't change.
Yeah.
They've still got the fatitude.
Yeah, that's not great. And I think
Yeah, that's not great. Yeah, that's suboptimal.
but also it goes on both ends of the spectrum. Like people who are anorexic or have eating disorders go to those facilities to be looked after, to gain weight, to get to a healthy weight range, but they don't see themselves as healthy or being in a healthy weight range. So once they're done at that specific facility and they're kicked out, like, great job, you got to that weight and it seems like you're healthy, they lose all the weight again and go straight back because they identify as being severely underweight. They identify as part of their eating disorder. That is part of who they are. And that's also why it's so hard for people with anorexia to pull themselves out of that because it's part of who they are. And I guess that's the same for obese people. It's part of who they are. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's both ends of the spectrum, and neither is a good way to live your life. Yeah, and I don't really know what to say to help people fix that. Like, I think you need like an actual psychologist who's practicing as a psychologist to help you with that.
Well, I mean, I think, again, this is why we're doing this podcast episode and why I've got that right there in the first week of the Blitz is that, no, you do need to be a different person. Like, you need to be conscious of that. I don't think people are. Which was my point earlier. Like, they just want to do some things and get a result while staying the same person. And it's just, that doesn't work. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I identify as jacked, ripped, and tanned, and then I look in the mirror and I'm horrified to see that I'm none of those things. And then I will gravitate back to that. So if I get away from the gym, if I get away from healthy eating or whatever, I will naturally gravitate back towards hitting the gym and drinking the protein shakes and stuff.
Exactly, because it's part of your identity from whenever you started lifting weights.
Yeah, so...
that you are a bodybuilder.
So people are asking that question, I can't remember how you phrased it, how do I stay motivated and blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't. It's just, it's part of my identity. So when I fucked up, when things have gone wrong, I just go, and fix it. It's not
because you don't want to be that other person.
Well, it's not even like I don't want to be. It's just I'm not comfortable. I'm uncomfortable being fat and weak. So I'm just going back towards my comfort zone, which is being leaner and more muscular than the average bear. So there is no effort to maintain motivation and stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, so this is it. You know, how do I get motivated and stay motivated? Motivation is not the answer. And so many of these self-help and motivational people keep talking about that. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. It's about whatever. But it's definitely not about motivation. Like, because what people think motivation is a positive feeling of excitement to do the things. I'm pumped up and excited and enthusiastic. Happy, enthusiastic action is what they think motivation is. And that's not what motivation really is. And it's also not what drives people. Because they've got this assumption that those people over there, those others, the different people who are fit and stay in shape, either all the time or most of the time, they feel happy, fluffy emotions. They're excited and joyful about what they eat and their training, because that's what they think motivation is. And it's like, well, I don't feel happy and excited, so I can't do it. It's not for me. You know, it would be easy for me if I was like you, feeling all of this happiness all the time, but that's just in their head. It's bullshit. The people who are getting shit done are not skipping through, Disneyland getting shit done. They're just getting shit done.
Yeah, so do you think the people who are yo-yoing back to a heavy scale weight and then back down, they identify as binge eaters or alcoholics, partiers?
I don't know if they would put labels on it like that, but their label would be normal. I'm normal. And then normal, asterisk, means...
I must drink 10 drinks when I go out with my friends because that's normal. I must eat a whole box of ice cream when I'm watching movies with my husband because that's normal.
Correct. Yeah, it's whatever they grew up with, whatever their peer group is doing is normal. And it can be maladaptive behavior that is inviting your heart disease and your cancers and your diabetes like it is for everyone around them because it's normal. So no, they probably don't identify themselves with language that is obviously sort of pejorative and judgmental. I am a person who binge eats. I am a person who is chasing a heart attack. Like, no, they would just be their normal.
Chasing a heart attack.
And that's the same with me. Like, normal is I want to go and deadlift till my eyeballs bleed. So it's just normal. And it's to the extent where I can be so insulated in my little world that I don't understand. Like I'm shocked by people who don't train. Like, how could you just stay weak? That's so weird to me. I don't get it. Because my normalcy bias is so strong that everyone I know goes to the gym. Like, everyone goes to the gym, don't they? And no, it's a minority of people who go to the gym.
Yeah, I think it is also important for parents to teach kids that physical activity is fun. Because, yeah, I remember, there's never a time that I thought physical activity or gymnastics or movement was a fucking pain. Mm-hmm. And then I think about other people who I went to school with who would just like avoid activity at all costs, like always have a note to not swim or
the ones with the notes
or not go to camp or not do anything. And one of my friends in school, like I guess we were probably in grade 5 or something, and she like just didn't do any sport, like flat out refused it. And so she just focused on her books and her violin and all that. And that's great, of course. You know, you don't want to be an idiot.
There's often a violin involved.
But the thing that, because I was sort of like, when you're little, you're like, why? Like, why don't you want to do this sport or that sport? Especially if you go to a school where you're giving so many opportunities to do all these cool different sports. And it was like when she was, I think in grade 2, she was doing gymnastics and she fell off the bar and broke her arm. So that one negative experience means that all sport is shit. You're going to be injured. It's all bad and negative. But that response would have been the mother being like, oh my God, like this huge overreaction of, oh, how dare that happen to my poor baby? Like, no, kids break their arms all the time, especially if you're a boy. Like, it's going to happen because they're trying to do stuff. They want to do all this cool shit. And if you're training and doing a sport that is a little bit dangerous, like gymnastics, it's quite likely you're going to injure yourself at some point. Like the volume of injuries that I saw in our team, it's like everyone had an injury at some point.
I'm going to remind you of this just chill out attitude when
yes,
Laura
please
hurts
do,
herself.
because I don't want Laura to be like, oh, I can't do any sports because then I'm going to be injured and hurt every time. And that is the wrong attitude. It's the mother being like, oh, poor Petal, you can't possibly do any sport. That's such a terrible experience. And it's like, no, you need to learn that happens to all kids, not just you. And it will heal. It will be okay. Yes, you need to take time off from your sports and your physical activity and heal the broken bone, but sport is not the bad thing. Movement is not the bad thing here.
And that's those people are the ones that I've spoken about in the past that pathologize discomfort. Like, you have to be wrapped in cotton wool and never experience any pain, any discomfort ever. Any kind of pain or discomfort is a medical emergency and it must be fixed.
The same kid that I'm talking about in my mind who refused to do any sport from there on onwards, she also would never, ever go to school camp. Like, her mum would always be like, nope, not going because maybe that's another activity that could lead to discomfort. You don't know what activity she's doing. Is she going to be riding a horse? Is she going to be setting up a tent? Like all these just additional social skills that school was trying to give to young girls like, to get out of their comfort zone. Exactly. Their fucking mansion house they sit at home with the aircon and the yummy food and all that. It's just trying to teach these young girls, okay, like, there are other things that go on in life and you're in this like box with, you know, life is great and perfect, especially at the school I went to. So again, that's the mother being like, oh no, don't want you to do that. Don't know what's going to happen at school camp. And like, no, it was fine. Absolutely fine.
Yeah. This is
and I don't want to be like that either. So if that ever happens and you're like, oh, Beck, you're being an idiot, please tell me.
Yeah, this is another thing. It's not quite identity, but it's like a worldview or a paradigm or something. And it's another one of these things where I take for granted the way I see things, and it's because of my background and how different it is. Because you've got that kid at one end of the spectrum.
You're talking about your
No.
mum.
But yeah. You've got that kid at one end of the spectrum, and then you've got, I don't know, everyone at my boys' school at the other end of the spectrum. Because everyone's doing Duke of Edinburgh Award Scheme. We all do. The Outward Bound program was just part of it. It was year 11 camp.
What were they chuck you in the forest?
Well, you do like 20 kilometers of overland navigation every day, and you got to carry all your food and water and set up your own tents and dig your own toilets and all that stuff. It was like 11 or 12 days of that. That was just year 11 camp. And it was dead easy because I'd done years of the Duke of Edinburgh Award Scheme before that, and all the bivouacking in cadets. So,
what is the bivouacking?
It's a 18th century word for camping. So what the military does is
Aboriginal thing.
No, it's French. What the military does is keep 18th century words alive. Like, okay, good. No one would ever say bivouac or ablution if it wasn't for the military. So like I've got all of that. I just did all this military style training as a child, and you suffer all kinds of discomfort all the time. In the Duke of Edinburgh thing, they made us swim across, was it the Murrumbidgee River? That's an Aboriginal word. I think it was the Murrumbidgee, but it was in winter. So it was in the Snowy Mountains not in the Snowy Mountains, but towards the Snowy Mountains in, is it the Kosciuszko National Park? I'm getting...
Is that New South Wales?
Yeah.
Yep.
She's never heard of it.
No, I know Mount Kosciuszko.
Anything south of the border doesn't exist.
Pretty much.
Anyway, fucking cold. Like as cold as it gets in Australia, pretty much. And then we had to swim across the river.
Great.
Yeah. And I remember like the briefing. So when the water hits the back of your neck, you're going to panic. You're going to go into shock. You've got to make sure you keep breathing and this sort of stuff. That's what I was doing as a child, you know. And then, you know, we're expected to be able to rescue each other in the water. And I did the bronze medallion.
No man left behind. Yeah. So it's like a war thing, isn't it?
It's not exactly the United States Marine Corps.
Even if your partner dies and gets shot, you need to bring their body back.
Sure.
Yeah.
And all of that is just so normal for me. But it's also normal for anyone who did footy training or netball at school. You roll your ankle and you strap it and you play on and stuff. So the people who don't have those experiences think that, any kind of pain, discomfort, inconvenience needs to be fixed. Everything should be comfortable and pain-free and convenient. Otherwise, there's a problem. So you get them to train properly. They're like, oh, no, something hurt. So something went wrong. Like, no. We're going well out of our way to intentionally cause pain because that is integral to the training process. And this is just wildly different. So you've got this identity of like who I am. I'm not the person who does these things. And then a worldview of anything that hurts or is uncomfortable is a medical problem, is an emergency that needs to be solved. So these are the kinds of, this is my identity and this is how I view the world. Mm-hmm. These are titanic challenges to overcome psychologically before you worry about losing fat and growing muscle.
Yeah.
Like losing a half a kilo of fat is nothing is nothing at all compared to changing somebody's mind who identifies themselves this way and then has a worldview like that. That's the real problem.
It's the same with changing your mindset, and you want to become a more positive person, and you've grown up being, taught like these sort of negative reactions to everything that happens.
Now you're talking about me again, aren't you?
Sorry, no, I'm talking about me actually.
Okay.
Sorry. In order to change your mind, as you say, you need to reprogram it. So when a thought comes into your mind that is inherently negative in response to something, and other people who might be super positive are going to be like, oh, well, at least this didn't happen. I can learn from this. And that is how you reprogram your mind. But you have to be so in tune with those thoughts happening that you can change them as they occur.
Oh, you need self-awareness to go, this is how I react to things.
Because if you're just always like letting those negative thoughts come in and rule, you can't change them.
Yes,
if you believe that to be facts and it's not, then that's not going to change. You have to see those thoughts as not, what's the word, like fluid, like changing. Those thoughts can be fiction.
Right.
All thoughts are fiction, really.
Yeah. So I think what you're talking about is the difference between reacting and responding. Like you need to interrupt, because there's, what is it? The vast majority of our decisions are made unconsciously, subconsciously, or whatever. Like we think we are sentient beings being led around by our frontal cortex, and we're just not. We're just, we decide things, make decisions, make shit happen, and then afterwards backwards rationalize, well, here's why I did that. That's the way things actually work. But what we want is, when it's a problem, when the automatic system that just makes decisions for us just reacts to situations, when that's a problem, then you do need to fire up the frontal cortex. And as you say, be self-aware. Go, oh, okay, I've got a habit of jumping to the negative, or assuming that pain is bad, or calling myself a fat person and identifying as that. So these are just automatic programming, like systematic things just baked into the cake. Now I need to interrupt that consciously and change the narrative. And it's a lot of work.
Yeah, if you're identifying as that super fat person, it's going to be hard to change if you have a negative self-image, because there's all these psychological barriers, and then you're basically resigning yourself to stay that way because you see yourself as, oh, I'm a loser, I'm overweight, I'm fat, and then you have this negative self-image. Whereas if you were to have this positive self-image where you see yourself as strong and fit and capable, then you're going to want to continue to make that a reality for yourself, even if you've gained a few.
And it's and if somebody just could wave a magic wand and just go, ding, you're now in shape, it's not enough. It's still not enough, because those people will go backwards. It's
there's
like
that Biggest Loser show. Do you remember that? The Australian show. Oh, no, they have it in America too. So they would know this too. Yeah, so like they go on that massive weight loss challenge and lose all this weight, and they're put in like a fat camp essentially. And then there'll be most of them who just sort of gain the weight back after the ending, and they get their prize money because they did the physical work. Yeah, they did the physical work every day. They went and did their workouts. They ate the food they were given, but I don't really know how much psychological work they did. Or what's involved, but to gain the weight back and to not want to change after doing so much work, to lose so much weight, just goes to show you didn't do any work on changing your identity.
Well, I mean, it doesn't go to show that they didn't do any work. It goes to show that whatever work they did wasn't enough. It didn't work.
Yeah, so
it wasn't
deeply
effective.
ingrained in them.
But the same phenomenon exists with lottery winners. The vast majority of people who win the lotto and become overnight millionaires are broke a few years later. Because it doesn't change who you are. It changes your bank balance, but it doesn't change who you are. It's probably a very good analogy. It's like, your body fat is like a bank balance of calories. You can change the bank balance, but if you don't change who you are, then the bank balance is going to end up in the same spot again.
Yeah.
So what's the summary? What's the takeaway here? I guess it's just you need to be aware that you do need to be a different person.
Yeah. So if you are embarking on a challenge or you're, enlisting the help of a coach, and there's something that you really are unhappy with about yourself and you want to change it, then yeah, you're going to have to do the hard work that involves becoming a different person. You're going to have to eventually do that. And yeah, that's why I'm saying with motherhood, it's sort of like this huge shock because it's not like you're slowly working up to it. It's just like, bam, and you're a mother.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, okay, I have no training for this. I've done no work for it. I don't have a coach to tell me what to do or say.
Yep.
And what are my new daily habits? I don't even know that yet. That's what I want to say, is that book, Atomic Habits, is really good in relation to this whole changing your identity. It's about changing your daily habits. Like the person that you want to become is evident in your daily habits. Yeah. So that's another thing that people should think about. And then, the people who say, I'll do it tomorrow or do it next week, that's where you're going really wrong. Because it's not about starting and then everything's going to be magical and great. It's about doing it every day. You need to just change your habits every day. Everyone should read that book, I think.
Atomic Habits.
It's a great book.
Yeah, okay. We've got it at home, I think.
Yeah.
Because you've read it.
I think
I need to read
bought two of them. One for you and one for me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something that people do need to think about when they're doing challenges like Accidentally Hot or the Blitz. If they want it to be a change for the rest of their life and they're not going to go back to doing the other bad habits, so to speak.
Which they should. I don't think anybody consciously plans to, I'm going to get skinny for 8 weeks and then get back to being fat. Again, it's no one identifies themselves. I am a person who drinks too much. I am a person who eats too much shit, blah, 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 blah. They think they're normal. And nobody goes, I want to lose fat for 8 weeks and then get fat again. Nobody thinks these things consciously. All of this stuff is unconscious. And so the value, I hope, of this podcast is a reminder that, or an expose that you need to be a different person. Because I really think that doesn't occur to most people. And that's the first problem. They're not even trying to be a different person. They're just trying to tack on some stuff to the existing person to get a different outcome. But the moral of the story is it just won't work. That stuff that you try and stick on to the wrong kind of person won't stick. If that person is, I'm never uncomfortable, I don't have time to train, blah, 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 whatever, all the negative self-talk, and then you put on some habits for a little bit, those habits will fall off very easily.
Especially if they're forced. Like you really hate them.
Yeah,
that's really it. Don't want to.
Yeah, if you're fighting against it, if it's just sheer discipline, sheer force of will, that'll get you so far, but it won't get you all the way. It won't get you through the rest of your life. Like forcing yourself to do shit you hate, forcing yourself to act like a person that you don't identify as, won't work. Everyone breaks under torture because basically you're torturing yourself. Everyone breaks, right? So, yeah, you need to embrace the idea of change.
Yeah, so if there was a Venn diagram that is motivation, discipline, and identity, how does that look? You would be able to answer this because I'm trying to visualize it and I don't know. Because we're saying that identity is the overruling factor here between...
It's the lasting thing.
So it's in the center then, right? If it's motivation and discipline or either end, those are the two. The middle is identity because you will stay motivated if your identity is becoming that person you want to be, and you will stay disciplined and do the work always because you want to be that person, or you are that person. You've already decided you are that person, so therefore you will.
Interesting.
So do you think identity is in the middle of the Venn diagram?
I can't quite visualize exactly what you mean, but yeah, you're onto something there.
Motivation, discipline, identity. It's in the very middle.
Identity is
And
the overlap
that's overruling all. This will not happen, and this will not happen without this.
Okay.
Otherwise, they're separate.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I just made that up in my mind. I'd have to Google if that's an actual thing. Like, what is the Venn diagram?
You can make up whatever Venn diagram you want. I think maybe a pyramid, like a food pyramid, where the basis, the foundation is your identity. And then it's going to be sort of discipline and habits. And then the capstone is motivation. It's not very important compared to those other things.
Yeah. People do place too much weight in motivation.
Yeah, they really think it's a crucial thing. If only I could get motivated. How do I stay motivated? How are you so motivated?
Why do you always want to go to the gym? I don't. Dup.
Yeah, you're missing the point.
I mean, yeah, don't choose a gym that you hate and people are mean to you or something, because that's not going to be fun. But like,
That doesn't exist.
exactly, everyone's nice at the gym.
Pretty much.
Okay.
They're nicer people than me.
Especially in Indonesia, where all the men want to be you. Just say the word gym bag and they're like, oh my God, so how long have you been training? Wow, you look so good. Of course, everyone's nice to you here. All the Indos just want to be you.
Yep. Okay. Well, have we done this topic to death then?
Yeah, I think we've come to a conclusion. That we agree upon. And also the thing is, this is something we haven't brought to the attention of all of our clients or Fit Girl Club members or, people doing Accidentally Hot, is that they need to work on changing their identity.
They might need to, yes.
Yes, they might already be someone who sees themselves as a fit, healthy person and they just got a bit thrown off by an injury or an illness or something.
Yep.
And they just want to get back on track.
Of course.
But there may be other people who will have done many, many blitzes but refuse to see themselves as a healthy or active person and therefore have not sustained that.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, then. That's all we've got time for. So if you're looking for no bullshit advice, programs, coaching, etc., check the links below. And until next time, see you later.
Bye.